Milt Lady is with us, White Township Manager, joins us once a month, go over some issues that are going on within the township, and certainly there are some to talk about today. Milt, good morning.
Good morning, Todd, and listeners.
Good to have you with us here today. First of all, we've got to do some business for White Township, and that includes filling out the roster, if you will. Some recent passings of some long-time and beloved board members, and those vacancies have to be filled.
They do, and at the last meeting, we appointed Ed Kukuk to take Jerry B's vacancy, and he will serve that interim position until the end of the year. Mm-hmm. And then we had the passing of Bob Overdorf. Condolences to the Overdorf family. Bob was part of the township for almost 40 years. He served on the municipal authority since May of 1980. Moved over to the Board of Supervisors in 1992 and became chairman there in 2000 and was chairman for 20 years.
Just about 40 years of service to White Township
Incredible.
In one capacity or another.
He was.
Wow.
He was very steady, brought common sense to the township, and we'll miss him dearly.
I remember the first White Township board meeting I ever covered. I walked in, and it was back during Larry's days as the manager. And I walked in, and Bob started the meeting. Then he noticed me sitting there, and he stopped the meeting. And he said, "I just want to introduce you to everybody." He said, most people already knew me, but Bob didn't at the time. And he was that kind of guy. He was friendly and collegial and
common folk.
He will be missed. He will be missed.
Will.
So gonna fill his vacancy next.
Yeah, we have 7 applications for that position. Again, that would be an interim position until the end of the year. Potentially that appointment could be made at Wednesday's meeting. So we're hoping that works out.
And those 2 positions then will be on the ballot in November, correct?
That's correct. There'll be a primary election for the one position with 2 candidates on the Republican Party. But both parties will have to make an appointment for that second position to run in the general election. So there'll be a 6-term and a 4-term position in the fall election.
Okay. All right. So those will be part of this election cycle coming up. Now let's move on to other things within White Township. It's the spring of the year, and you go outside and you go take a big old sniff, and you smell the grass and the hay fever and everything, and
pollen count's high this week.
And you know that there are things to do outdoors, and you're doing them, right?
That's right. We got the street sweeper out there cleaning up all the debris we put down over the winter. So keep an eye out for that. It's a big machine. You don't want to run into it. Be cautious. It does make some dust. Hopefully we try to do it when it's damp out and there's some moisture to keep the dust down. But let us know if we missed your street. We'll come back and take care of it. We also are doing planning for our paving projects this summer. That's contracted work. We'll be putting those bids out soon. We're looking to do about 1.8 miles of paving, and that's at a cost of about $335,000. And we'll also seal coat about 3.7 miles of road, and that's about a $53,000 cost.
Have you identified the streets that are going to get the treatment this year?
We have. I'll present that to the Board of Supervisors Wednesday for their approval.
Very good.
But there's a variety of roads that we're doing.
So that's on top of the surface. What's going on underneath? And I know you've got some sewer work going on too, don't you?
Yes, we do. Sewer work, probably the customers for the first time we're seeing their first quarter bills and noticed an increase. We tried to get the word out at the end of last year. That increase was from $51 to $60. That ends up being a monthly cost when you add it to the borough's treatment charge of about $35.95 a month. And I know people question the increase, but when you compare our rates to neighboring communities like in the suburbs of Pittsburgh and Johnstown, we are by far a lot less than a lot of communities. Other communities are in the $50 to $70 range per month, and we're only at $35. So I think we're very very conscientious of what we do and our rates. But that's something new that people are seeing on their bills for the first time.
Yeah. Something else that is new that has to be worked through, we found out at the last supervisors meeting, and that has to do with, eventually it means building permits, but right now it's sewer tap-ins.
That's right. We are not allowed to issue any new connections to our public sewers, which means no building permits. It does not affect on-lot septic systems. That's still viable. But we did receive a letter from DEP on March 11th that pretty much said that we were not able to do any new connections until we submitted a corrective action plan, which will address hydraulically overloaded facilities. And basically that occurs during significant rain events that we have. And we all know that we've had quite a few the last couple of years.
Yeah.
So that's been brought to DEP's attention. We did submit that corrective action plan about a week ago. We've been working with DEP to make a couple revisions to it. We feel everything's going well. We've had positive feedback about how we're going to address the issues. So we're hoping within the next week or two we'll be able to move forward with new taps and building permits. But we are at the mercy of DEP and their approval of our corrective action plan at this time. But we're optimistic.
Overriding issue is always, where does the water go? And so the corrective actions, they can run the gamut, can't they? From adding new capacity to repairing existing facilities. You really have to study every different aspect of it.
Yes, we have our collection lines that obviously collect all the sewage from everybody's private lateral. Obviously, we have some old infrastructure that's been in there since the 60s, if not before. It's certainly the materials back at that time aren't what the materials are now. In fact, we weren't even allowed to use plastic back then. So a lot of it's old terracotta, clay towel.
Yeah.
And all those joints come loose.
Deteriorates.
So you get all that infiltration, people's laterals, tree roots find ways into all the little cracks and crannies. So all those things are going to be addressed in the next 5 years. So I'm just letting property owners know that you're going to see us out there doing a lot of inspections. We're going to need to correct the issues, which means private property owners will have to do their part in correcting their lateral issues also. Yeah.
Well, it is really, it's a game changer, isn't it?
It is.
In the way that we relate to DEP, but in the way that business is done in White Township.
It is. We've already done a lot of work in the last year. We've added 4 positions to our staff to address inspections and the work that's going to be done. We bought a new camera truck that'll actually send a camera down into the pipes as small as 3 inches pipes. So this camera will crawl right up to the bottom of the houses and to inspect where the issues are. It all records it. We'll be able to map out our whole system. And that stuff's not cheap. That truck costs $240,000.
Yeah.
But it's state of the art. So you'll see it out and about. We also hired a professional engineer on staff that specializes in sanitary work. And we're going to do a lot of flow monitoring. So we already realized we had some issues, and we're kind of ahead of the game in that respect as far as the planning goes.
Yeah, when you stop and think about how many properties you're talking about the entire system as it is, your end of the tap and their end, it's really, really a time-consuming operation. There's
5,800 accounts out there.
Wow.
So there's that many houses that need inspected, and we know there's going to be issues that we're going to uncover.
There's going to be some work needs done.
There will.
And you're already working on that. We're talking with Milt Lady here this morning, White Township Manager. All right, let's get out to the White Township Recreation Complex. Yeah, the fun stuff. It's never fun to say the ice is melting at S&T Arena. except when it's being done deliberately.
That's right. Ice is melting as of yesterday, but that's a sign of us moving outside, getting the parks and the ball fields ready for all the outdoor activities that we see. There'll be a lot of renovations going on in the arena this summer. We're in the design phase of that grant project. That'll be over a 2-year period, but we hopefully will get some of that done this summer. But a lot of our activities have moved outside, getting Getty Heights Park, Kennedy King Park, and obviously the rec complex, all those ball fields. It's been a great spring. Hasn't been too wet. I think, as far as I know, we only have one rain out that I'm aware of.
Yeah.
So I think for Western Pennsylvania to be getting their ball games in March and April, that's pretty good.
How many mowings have you done out at the ball fields?
I don't know that. Hopefully none, but maybe some cleanup work.
Yeah. I don't think
it's coming.
It's quite time to mow the grass, but it's coming really soon. You can just look across the street and see the lawn at the church, and you know that the green time is coming, and that's good news. It's good summertime activity.
It is.
All right, very good. Planning Commission tonight, yes?
Yes, tonight 7:30. I'm not aware of any major things. I think some minor approvals. I do want to remind people to go onto our website on the homepage and click the link that will allow you to do a comprehensive plan survey. It's your opportunity to have a voice in the future of the township. Put in your ideas where you'd like to see us be 5-10 years down the road. It's your chance to be heard. So I encourage you to take that survey.
I was going to ask you about that, and I'm glad
glad
you mentioned it. Very good, Milt. Supervisors then tomorrow night.
That's correct. Supervisors at 7:30 on Wednesday.
Very good. Go take the survey, boys and girls. Thank you, Milt, for coming in and visiting with us today.
Always a pleasure, Todd. Thank you.
It is the voice of Indiana County, WCCS, AM 1160 and 101.1 FM.